Hello, viewers. Kubiyando, Kith and Kin. I'm SB, and welcome back to I Was a Teenage Exocolonist, where today we're taking our new and improved brain out for a spin. I mean, it's just temporarily trained, right? We could untrain it at some point, I suppose. But I wonder, actually, it's probably pushed us over a couple of thresholds for getting cards from interacting with people. We should probably check in with everybody. And I guess we can start with Rex. This is gonna be aggressively sexual. That's my guess here. Rex has been getting more and more that away. You follow the sounds of laughter and find Nomi and Rex playing catch. Or maybe the word for the game they're playing is more like fetch. Nomi throws the ball as far as they can, and Rex tears after it, climbing and leaping over anything in his way like it's not even there. Rex hands the ball back to Nomi, and Nomi winds up to throw it again. But at the last second, they palm the ball and hide it under their arm. Rex barrels off away from Nomi with his ground-eating stride and gets pretty far away before he stops and looks around, confused. He looks back at Nomi, who waggles the ball at him and bursts out laughing. I don't know how to feel about this. This feels a little bit like taking advantage of a... It just... I don't know, man. I don't know, there's something about... He's a boy with 30% of a dog brain that makes me feel like I worry about his mental competency is all. And what that means for whether or not we should consider him capable of consent. Nomi, he shouts, running back to them. He picks them up and hauls them over his shoulder, and Nomi shrieks with delight as Rex spins them around. Two Helio kids in their crisp uniforms pass by, glaring archly at Nomi and Rex. Rex sets Nomi down and then spots you over Nomi's shoulder. "Well, hey, it's Sawan," he says, and Nomi turns around and gives you a stunningly bright smile. Rex slings his arm over Nomi, and Nomi lays their head on his shoulder. They're both breathless and beaming with happiness. I don't feel like we need to ask this. I don't know that they would want to put a name on whatever's going on between them. And especially Rex, I feel like Rex is the most open to everybody person who has ever existed. Hey, what's the deal with your Helio friends? They don't seem to like it when you're happy. Rex and Nomi look at each other and stick out their tongues. "They aren't our friends," Rex replies, shrugging. "All they want to do is act like mindless little soldiers and measure each other's dicks." He rolls his eyes. There's so many more fun things to do with. He never stops talking about their dicks. Nomi thumps Rex in the chest. "Don't be gross," they whined. "Sorry, Nomi," Rex apologizes. "I just mean we don't need anyone else. Ever since we were kids, it's been me and Nomi here. They're my best friend, and I love them like my sibling." Nomi smiles shyly and hides their face. "Rex is my best friend, too." "Aw, buddy," Rex coos and wraps his whole body around Nomi's smaller one. He kisses them noisily on the cheek, snuffling into their hair, while Nomi shrieks with laughter again. How old are... Okay, you're 15. All right. It's very weird. They both have a very weird vibe, and they have an extremely weird vibe together. "We were always the odd ones out on the heliopause," Rex says. "People thought we were weird, you know? You probably don't see it because everyone's so awesome here, but compared to all the rest of those smug, boring jerks, we really stuck out. But I'd rather be different than be like them." He looks down at Nomi, who beams up at him. "And I got to be different with my best friend, which was awesome. We just hung out together and had our own fun while everyone else trained to be proper little soldiers. Right, Nomi?" Nomi frowns. "Like Vase and all of his cronies," they say, quietly. "It wasn't all fun and games. Yeah, the thing is, I would imagine in that atmosphere, there's probably a tremendous amount of harassment and violence. Kind of like what Cal is always catching from them." Rex shushes Nomi and strokes his hand through their hair. "I know," he says, "but that's in the past. We don't have to grow up to be soldiers. We're here now, and there's so many more people to be friends with." He shoots you a smile. "Like Sawan." Yeah, always. No matter... Oh, flirts with Nomi. Interesting. This is kind of a This is you're forming a triad, I think, kind of thing. I'm your friend. I'm going to emphasize friend here, Rex. Rex smiles and holds his other arm out to you. Group hug! Rex gives really good hugs, and Nomi's no slouch either. You can look the degree to which we must rest after an interaction with Rex. Hey Mars, how you doing? So I need persuasion 40 for that, which we are not close to. God, we didn't even get to persuasion 20 from the brain trainer. Our yellow skills are really bad. When is your birthday again? I still don't have any idea. Well, we'll figure it out. Nomi, don't have any idea. I'll give you a thing like next month. Hey, Cal. Cal's holding an ice pack to his... Oh, right, the violence. The they're beating us up thing. Yeah, sorry about that, Cal. Well, this is pollen season, so we may as well give you something now. Would you like this entire cake? Of course you would. I love Cal. He just makes sense to me. A guy who just loves cake. Like, humans are difficult for me sometimes. This I understand. I owe almost everything I am to Chief Engineer Instance, Tangent says. She sees me for who I really am. Tange runs her fingertip over her jaw. Without her, I would probably be as sad and isolated as my brother, or as broken as my mother was. I owe her my life. I would do anything she asked of me. What a strange piece of information to suddenly volunteer. Anyway, are we at 100? Yeah, I don't. Okay. Do you want to study together? Because I did, in fact, hit Reasoning 40. This isn't even that good of a card. Yeah, all right, hit it. You offer to help Tangent with her schoolwork, but she just shrugs you off. I'm not working on school anymore, she says. Chief Engineer Instance says I'm smart for my age. My talents are wasted in school. She opens her holopalm and shows you some of her lab notes. Ugh, it's so much work, though, she complains. Honestly, maybe it would be better to be like everyone else. Unintelligent people seem happier. All right, a little judgmental. Just then, Nem jogs by with a squad of soldiers, all marching in time. She gives you a little wave, then cringes as the leader barks at her to keep her eyes forward. Tange shudders. On second thought, forget I said that. I'll keep being smart, thank you. All right, tiny bit judgmental. Just the tiniest bit. Ooh, free egg. Rad. You catch Nem scarfing down some rations outside the garrison. I took a nap during my lunch break and ran out of time to eat, she says. Too much to do. Early dust is her thing. Okay, so here, I got something for you. I brought you this crystal cluster. Oh, wait, shoot. I totally gave her the thing that was in her dislikes area because I was just not paying attention. Also, we know she likes eggs. What am I doing? Nem is smiling at her holopalm and waves away a message as you approach. I don't think I've ever talked to anyone as much as I talk to Vase. I feel like I can talk to him about anything, you know? Yeesh. This is bad news. This is very bad news. You can't find Dis outside the walls, even though the duty roster has him working on the expedition vehicles today. After asking around, one of his crewmates points you to where she'd seen him disappear into the forest just 10 minutes ago. You thank her and set off into the wilderness. You've picked up a few things about tracking after hanging out with Dis for so long, so you follow his trail into the nearby Mushwood Forest until you hear him speaking calm and slow. Shh, it's going to be okay. Just let me help you. You follow his voice to find him kneeling on the ground next to a wounded Hopeye. The scent of blood and animal fear colors the air. Dis's knife glints as he pulls it from its sheath. Don't worry, he says to the creature. I've got you. It won't hurt anymore, real soon. A branch snaps under your foot and Dis's head jerks up. His eyes go wide, but he doesn't greet you. Instead, he gestures for you to get a closer look at the hop-eye. Its single leg is mangled beyond recognition from a hunter's snap trap, and it's bleeding heavily. It can only stare up at Dis, defeat in its 4 eyes. It struggles once more, then goes still from the exertion, wheezing miserably. And they tell everyone they're humane traps, Dis murmurs. But humans lie, don't they? They lie all the time. The hunters won't be back to check the traps until tomorrow, Dis continues, looking down at the hop-eye with a grim expression. I have to put it out of its misery. Dude, I'll take care of it if you... Dis hands his knife to you and moves aside. You kneel and take the small, terrified creature in your arms, and with one clean cut you slice through its neck. It tenses, twitching in fear reflex, and goes limp. You hand the knife back to Dis. Dis is quiet at your side for a long time, breathing evenly in through his nose and out through his mouth, like he's meditating. It's better to die quickly than to suffer in a trap, but there shouldn't have been a trap in the first place, he says eventually. He clicks his tongue against his teeth. It's pointless. It was going to die eventually, but not here. It's not natural. It's not even the death part that bothers me. It's our vanity. Humans are so afraid of extinction that they'll kill indiscriminately to avoid it. Dis takes out a cloth and wipes the hop-eye's blood off his blade, his movements slow and reverent. I used to let it control me, too. I thought dying meant that living was pointless, he continues. But now I know the truth. Life is short and brutal and hard, and it's up to us to fill it with as many experiences as we can. Are we going to spend our lives cooped up in the colony, subjugating nature because it strikes fear into our animal brains? He smiles faintly. Or are we going to get out there and live the only life we've been given? You know, I feel like he's in a much healthier place than he used to be. He looks down at the corpse of the hop-eye and lays his hand gently against its head. We're all going to end up like this in the end. There's no use denying it and letting the fear of it control our actions. I think this is like a very enlightened... Man, I agree completely. Good on you. Good on you for having gotten to this point at fucking 17 years old or whatever. 16. I mean, you're probably the only other person here who does, Dis replies. That's why we get along, I guess. Dis lifts the hop-eye's body into his arms and rises to his feet. Now, the smell of death will attract animals right into the other traps, and I'm not taking it back to the colony to be stuffed into a recycler. We have to take it into the woods and give it back to nature. You and Dis walk further into the forest in respectful silence, Dis cradling the dead hop-eye against his chest. Eventually, he tells you to wait while he finds the tracks of a predator and lays it down nearby, an offering the forest accepts without acknowledgement. He returns to you, bloodstained and solemn. It's done, he says. You begin the walk back to the colony, though it's clear Dis is taking his time. After a few minutes of walking, he turns to you and grabs your arm, forcing you to stop and look at him. Sawan, he says, his eyes burning. Promise you won't let me end up like that hop-eye. At your questioning look, he squeezes your arm to the point that it almost hurts. If I'm trapped here, just let me go, okay? I don't know exactly what he means, and there's definitely a way to read this that is extremely worrying. See, that thing I thought he was saying, the thing he was saying a few moments ago, sounded like like, you can't let the fear of death stop you from, all the stuff he was saying was very encouraging. I thought maybe psychologically he was kind of out of the danger zone. This has put me right back in the fear place. But I don't know what he means by trapped here, Like, if he just means bored inside the walls, I just can't imagine that he would mean that after the things he was just saying. And this shouldn't be one of those things where, like, sometimes narrative events in a game will clash because of the fact that they're from different narrative threads or anything. That talk was all part of the same event that this part is, so the two things must be taking each other into account. So I'm just going to say I promise, because I think the only way to read this that makes sense with the thing he was saying earlier is that here he's talking about something very dire indeed. I don't know, but maybe it's still worth saying. This still expresses concern. I don't know if he'll read it that way. I want him to read it that way. I want to express concern for him in this moment. Dis, you're scaring me. Dis releases your hand and takes a step back. I'm sorry, he mumbles. Never mind, forget I said anything. That did not go the way that I wanted that to go. This is a pretty fucking serious interaction, though, with, like, I have to imagine some potential for outcomes. Like, serious outcomes. He stares at you for a few unnerving seconds, perfectly still, before jerking into motion and fishing a pendant necklace from his clothes. He unclasps it from his neck and holds it out to you. Here, he says. You should have this. I want you to have it. Huh. You turn and let him put it around your neck. The pendant is large, but surprisingly light. You recognize it as a fragment of unisaur horn, its pearlescent color shimmering in the light. Wow, 5 up to 10 if in the first or last pane. We're not... Are we? Am I? I think no. I think, thank you, it's beautiful. I didn't make it, Dis replies. The unisaur did. I just put it on a cord. But thank you. Dis regards you with a serious expression. You know, you're the only person in this colony that I've ever really cared about, he says. I don't know why you bothered trying to be my friend when I was trying to push everyone away. His mouth bends in a shy little smile. Thank you for sticking with it, he says softly. You don't know how much I appreciate having a friend here. He steps away and looks down at the ground, suddenly evasive. Listen, I don't know how much longer I have left here, he says softly. I just want you to know that I want to spend the time I do have with you. You know, it is possible, I suppose, to read... Okay, I don't want to get too heavy here, but sometimes when people are suicidal, when they've made the decision, they sound more upbeat, they sound better, they sound brighter, because having made the decision to bring things to an end actually takes a tremendous amount of stress off of you. It feels better. It feels like you're in control. It feels like you've like as a person who has made that decision at least once in their life, I'm just saying, like, the way he was talking, I think if viewed in that context, actually could make sense with him being in a place where maybe he intends to take his own life soon. And all of this stuff, I think would be kind of in line with that, which makes me a little bit glad that I didn't just say, I promise earlier. But gosh, this game is dealing in some heavy stuff. Also, every time I say something like that, people get a little, so just so everybody knows, I'm good. Now, I'm in a much better place now. It turns out transition, tremendously important for trans people. Not being untransitioned, not realizing that, yeah, I'm in a different, better, stabler, more in control of myself place now. So anyway, we're just going to move on and be worried. We're just going to move on and be very worried about our friend Dis. Am I across any more important thresholds? Organizing 80, we are not close to that. And I think we've done all of the stuff. Yeah, we've done all of Dad's extra cards because we are indeed very good at animals. So yeah, I think that's actually all we got out of the brain trainer right there. All that we got out of it immediately. And so I guess let us continue to explore outside. I mean, maybe I should go and grab... We're at 54 toughness. How long would it take for me to pick up the next toughness thing? We'd have to gain 12 points. That's not that much. It's not like that many runs of, what do you call it? Sports ball. But also, we do have, I missed a collectible somewhere. We do have lots of collectibles to pick up. And in particular, I'd like to do explore nearby, because there's usually a lot of Mushwood nearby. Also, there's Utopia. You report to the expeditions tent to find not just Utopia, but Security Chief Rhett and Face as well. I just can't spare any more of my people, Utopia's explaining to them. You've already pulled almost all the foragers, and we're already running skint crews in the ridges as it is. Well, there's one person you can spare, Rhett replies, turning to face you. Hello, Sawan. How'd you like to transfer on to one of my hunting parties? Utopia tells me you're one of her best explorers. We could use someone like you. He indicates Vase. I need someone who can keep up with this one. Vase puffs his chest out proudly. Why do we need to kill them? Vase laughs. Because they're killing us, Sawan. Keep up. He clenches his fist. It's the classic struggle between humanity and nature. Nature's not all flowers and rainbows. On Earth, everything and everyone was trying to kill each other. For survival, for food, hell, even just for fun. I can't wait to bag a real trophy, Zeno, he chuckles, framing his hands like a painting on a wall. The first 10-point buck on Vertumna. I do sort of want to go out into the woods with Vase and a gun. I wonder if that's an option. I wonder if there's a way we could dispose of him. Because I feel like we could prevent a lot of bad things that are obviously going to happen if we did that. I wonder if the game would allow it. I wonder if that capability is built in. I think I'm gonna say I don't want to kill animals for fun. Something tells me we wouldn't be allowed to do that. Rhett scowls at Vase. You won't be killing them for fun. You'll be killing them to defend the colony. Vase rolls his eyes. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Vase scoffs. Even if it was trying to kill you, I knew you Strato kids were soft. I didn't know you were suicidal, too. That was kind of a tough choice. Like, in terms of the actual dialogue on the buttons, the sentiment behind the buttons was easy to choose between, but we clearly don't believe. I would never kill a living creature. It's not something our character would ever think. We absolutely kill creatures in self-defense. We've done it before, and I will absolutely do it again. It's just, I don't want to do the thing they're doing. And I didn't have a choice that was like, that offered even that tiny, tiny bit of nuance. Like, I'm not going to go out and kill creatures in their own habitat for the fuck of it. Not everyone's cut out for life or death situations, Rhett says, then turns to you. I'm very good at them, actually. You know, Sawan, it's not all killing, he continues. And sometimes it's about tracking and identifying dangerous creatures before they reach our walls. You wouldn't necessarily have to kill them. He holds up his hand. But you don't have to decide just yet. Talk to Utopia later if you change your mind. I mean, the thing is, I'm not opposed to, you know, like tracking creatures and... Sim! I knew it! I knew it, I knew it, I knew it, I knew it. How do I get over there? I knew it, you asshole. You let me think you were dead. To the point where I really thought you were dead. Hold on, I'm also grabbing this Mushwood Log. I'm not going to talk to you until I make sure I've collected all the things, actually. Because who knows what else will happen. But I'm mad at you. Actually, I'm not talking to you until after I talk to this Unisaur as well. I knew it. I knew he couldn't be dead. Yep, the Unisaur. You've seen them before, but they still fill you with a sense of awe. Let's go ahead and be nice and quiet and get ourselves some stress relief, shall we? And it doesn't really matter how we do this, probably. Here's this. We're going to blow out that 66 for sure. Wait, why does that... That's a 6. Oh, because it says the card becomes 3 on the slot. Right. That would be a good reason for the card to become 3. Man, straights are so... Straights become impossible after a certain point because they're constantly doing shit like this. Well, that being the case, I guess we'll just play like, these cards are blue. Yeah, card becomes 3 is really very harsh. Right, that's just a bunch of numbers. That's something. And then we didn't get enough... Well, Shimmer Cure will solve that. I was going to say we didn't get enough of anything to really build out a straight here. But hate card becomes 3 in this position. It's such a pain. And like, here. This gives us a bunch of 3s. I'm a little surprised that we weren't able to super gold this, but also super goaling it would just give us extra perception we don't need, so whatever. Alright. You watch it. It's beautiful. It pees like a crystal waterfall, which everybody loves. Love to watch an animal pee. I find it incredibly soothing for some reason. Wait, isn't there supposed to be a point where the path forks? How do I... Oh, this was a problem before, right? That I couldn't figure out how to get down here. Oh, no, you have to run along the wall. Or, wait, maybe not. Well, I don't remember. Okay, I'm going to talk to Sim now. You're taking a sample at the base of a tree when you feel something patter off your head and fall to the ground. It's a nut? That's strange. This species doesn't usually... You look up and your stomach lurches when you realize you've been being watched this whole time. A pair of familiar eyes peers down at you from the branches. It's... Sim? He grins down at you. Well, well, well. If it isn't the little human. Have you come to visit me, Sugarbug? Sugarbug, how dare... It's definitely Sim. It's probably Sim. I guess it doesn't have to be Sim. I'm going to assume it is. He talks to me like Sim does. But I saw you die. Did you? He says slyly. You'd think I would remember that. And if you did witness my death, I apologize. Sim continues. He leans down from his branch, his long hair dangling just out of reach. I imagine I didn't enjoy it much either. So he might be like fully unhinged from the time stream, just like not experiencing time in the same linear order that I am. I could just try to pounce him right now. That feels a little, let's focus. So wait, how can you just die and come back? I want an explanation, ideally. Well, it's a gardener thing, he replies dismissively. He's so casual about it. I make regular backups just in case. Yeah, okay, see, this is what I thought. Yeah, no, that sounds normal. Now I can tackle him? You know what? At this point, no. I guess I'm happy you're alive. Can you get an infection from an alien life form? If I get an alien STI, that's going to be hard to explain back at base. I can maybe get Tange to help deal with it discreetly. I guess I'm happy you're alive. Sim sighs gratuitously. I wish everyone felt that way, he mutters. One of my associates seems to feel otherwise. At your confused look, he waves his hand. One of the other gardeners, Noctilucent. They really don't care for you humans, I'm afraid, and they're aware I've taken an interest in you. With a soft whoomph, Sim drops gracefully out of the tree and dusts himself off. He claps you on the shoulder. I'd watch out for them if I were you, he says. They're quite dangerous. Sim turns to leave, but you sputter and grab his sleeve. You can't, after all that, you deserve some answers. Real ones. He owes you that. He turns to you, one arch eyebrow raised. What is it, Sawan? I mean, yeah, he's really Sim for whatever, he's a Sim. What do you really do here? Sim gives you a blank smile. I am a gardener, he says simply. I was created to be a gardener, and I imagine I will be one until my services are no longer required. At your look of confusion, Sim softens. Humanity is so concerned with purpose, he says sadly. It is because you were not created for one, and you spend the entirety of your short lives under the impression you need one. The concept of someone having a purpose must be seductive. He shrugs one elegant shoulder. My existence is simple. I act in the ways for which I was created. That is not an interesting answer for an individualistic species as yourselves, I'm aware. Perhaps we must both accept that it may be beyond the human capacity to comprehend. And then I have to ask, are you really Sim, even though I don't feel like that's an important question. The one and the same, Sim answers, carefully prying your hand from his clothing. I acknowledge this is difficult for you to understand. He takes a deep breath, considering his words carefully. Humans have but one short window of consciousness, which encourages you to think of yourselves as individual points on the line of history. You are, quite clearly, not your parents or your grandparents or your unborn children. You are your own marvelous creature. He places his hand on his chest. I do not disappear when this form dies. I am eternal, in a sense. I am all who came before, and I am all who will come after. I am my own legacy. I am symbiosis. He tilts his head to the side, as if listening to something, and then squeezes your hand. Oh, I fear I have said too much. I hope I can see you again soon, and that all may be revealed to you. Yeah, I would love it if all was revealed to me. That would be totally sick. All right. Yes, you have your favorite places. You're heading to one of them right now. You like it because it's thrilling to get there. I mean, neither one of these really matters. If we do, it's beautiful. There's a Xeno Vista card that we have that we're going to get another copy of, is my guess. Yeah, it's probably this. And honestly, I don't think a 2 with a gem on it is worth hunting for. So let's go. I like it because it's thrilling to get there. None of this really matters. And I probably should have just bailed on this and not taken the stress. What if red 6s? And then what? We can go like 2, 2, 2. And if we're not going to be able to complete the thing, we may as well just throw a big 10 on there. Okay. And that's actually Just a bunch of red 5s is pretty solid. Hooray, the super goal. So the super goal is at 37, when the normal goal was at 16. So it's 21 points above the original goal of 67. It's tough to say what the normal threshold for a super goal might be. Anyway, total waste. You have to cross a fallen log over a deep ravine to get there. And massive de-stress. The natural bobber fruit orchard is as beautiful as ever, but it seems someone has been here before you and picked the fruit clean. Well, that just leaves more time for you to relax and enjoy the scenery. Let's go ahead and go home. I know there was that one... Well, let me see if we can get to that. Oh, there's two. There's 2 things down there. I will take 9 stress for 2 pickups. Why am I so bad at finding the route here? Oh, here it is. Here it is. That's right. I remember. They're not the most important pickups. So we're eating watermelon. Suddenly, Sim materializes out of the trees. Weird. Hello, Sawan. Is that a new... Oh. What is that you're doing? He bends down and picks up a small black pip. This is a seed, correct? Sawan, this is an earth plant. It doesn't belong here. He pops the seed in his mouth and crunches it between his teeth. Not to play park ranger, but it is my job after all. I'm going to spit some more seeds at him. You know what? I'm sort of being playful, but I'm also still fucking mad. +1 combat. Pfft, he exclaims, batting them away. You're only making more work for me, you know. You have decent aim with those things. He fucking deserved that. Absolutely worth the stress. All right, now I think we can just go home. I don't know that we're going to have... Well, you know, the events might be meaningfully different now, though. We're so late in the game, and, like, with the hunting squads out, I wonder if I'll have the opportunity to mess with them. Okay, this is that thing where you can try to plant something. Trying to plant something gives you a point of biology, but it doesn't work, because, yeah. Alright, it's probably not any new, mostly new stuff then. Let's just go ahead and bail on this. This was productive, though. We did at least get to see, get to encounter Sim. Alright, none of that stuff matters at all. You're browsing the colony bulletin board on your holopalm over breakfast when you notice a new post from Nomi. It seems to be a short story. The title is Xenos to the Rescue. Okay, well, this is going to cause a problem. You open the story and read through it. Actually, you think you and Nomi did okay. Sure, the premise of talking Manticores is a little shaky, and Nomi doesn't really spend enough time establishing the character's motivations, but it's still an entertaining read. You scroll through the comments. They're mostly supportive, if a little lukewarm, except for one, and I'm going to guess it was left by... Well, I was going to say Vase, but honestly, it could be Nem. Nem, not a big fan of the Xenos. Yep, it's Vase. Just doing Vase things. Who would even mind? Who would even mind if Vase just, you know, he just vanished? He just went out with one of the parties one day and he just didn't come back. Alright. For some reason didn't... Here you go. Here's a gift for you. Because you are always hungry. Oh, she wants to talk. You must have crossed a threshold or something. You're catching up with Nem between her drills when she looks over her shoulder, or over your shoulder, and frowns. Newton's bloody apple, she curses, seeming to shrink behind you. She's here again. You turn, and at the other end of the garrison, you can see a small crowd of young soldiers forming around Chief Steward Antecedent. She's handing out lunch tiffins and doling out hugs to anyone who comes within melee range, which is quite a few of them. You've noticed, just from hanging around the garrison, that even some of the transplanted Helios soldiers have started calling her Auntie. This must be why. She comes by every couple of days, Nem grumbles. Like we're still kids in the creche, playing in her skirts. It's so disruptive. Eventually, the crowd around Antecedent thins, and she makes her way over to you and Nem. She greets you with a warm hug. She smells nice, like flour and yeast. "Hello, Sawan," she says. "Have you eaten?" You know what? No, not yet." She smiles fondly and hands you a tiffin, still warm. "It's important to keep your strength up, my love," she says, and pats you on the cheek. Antecedent turns to Nem. You can almost feel the temperature in the room drop several degrees as Nem stonily stares down at her mother. Antecedent's smile grows thin, and she clutches the handles of her basket. "How about you, Annie? Have you eaten? Do you need..." Nem scowls and crosses her arms. "I'm fine," she says, cutting off her mother. "Just like I was yesterday and last week. I don't need you to manage me." "If you're sure," Antecedent responds, hesitantly. "It's a mother's job to worry, Annie." She reaches out to lay her hand on Nem's scaly cheek, but Nem jerks backwards and slaps her hand away. "Oh, yeah?" Nem retorts. "You just sit around and worry? Must be nice. I bet you'd like it if that was all I did, too, huh? If I quit being a soldier and spent all day cuddling babies and wiping noses and fixing clothes like you did. Nice and safe in the creche forever." "Nem, she's your mom. Come on." Nem turns her frightening scowl on you. "Stay out of this, Sawan." "I've never thought that, Annie," she says, laying her hand on her heart. "I worry because I love you, and I always will. I'm just doing what I can to keep you safe." "Love doesn't keep anyone safe," Nem exclaims, raising her voice enough that some of the soldiers turn their heads to watch. Her thunderous expression convinces most of them to get back to their business. Nem clenches her fists. "But love didn't keep Calm safe, did it?" she says, her voice breaking. "There's no amount of love or worry on this whole stupid planet that can do that. So you should just stop, okay? Stop, or do something actually useful. I'm never going to be like you. I'm going to fight." And all I can do is internally say, "Oh no." Vase peels off from his unit and jogs over to stand beside Nem. "You okay, babe?" he asks, putting his hand on her shoulder. She covers it with her own and angles her body toward him. "Yeah, everything's just galactic," Nem mutters. "My mom was just about to tell me again how much she wishes I would give up being a soldier so I can pop out babies and be safe." Antecedent sputters, trying to explain herself, but Vase beats her to it. "Anemone is an exemplary soldier, Chief Steward," he says calmly. "I know it's hard for a mother to accept, but we're all much safer for her service to the colony." He puts one finger under Nem's chin, talking directly to her. "And remember, Nemi, that we exist to protect people like your mother, to preserve the bond between parents and their children." Vase gives Antecedent a stiff smile. "If the stars align, one day we won't lose any more sons." A soft "oh" escapes Antecedent as she blots her eyes. "Oh, you are one of the good ones, aren't you?" she says, clearly trying not to cry. "Just walking in the footsteps of the good men and women who served before me, ma'am," Vase replies. "We couldn't do it without you keeping the hearth lit for us. Speaking of, I'll take lunch if you have any left." Antecedent laughs and hands him a tiffin from her basket, then goes up on her toes to give him a quick hug. Over her shoulder, Vase shoots a cheeky wink at Nem, who rolls her eyes and snorts. Man, if Vase was actually the guy who was pretending to be there, I would have a lot less of a problem with him. Honestly, he is kind of that guy, because that guy is always this other thing, right? It's just, you pretend not to be around the kinds of authority figures where it matters. Just everybody watch The Guest. Every guy like this is that guy. Also, that movie's rad. It's hot and humid inside the geoponics bay, making your clothes stick to your skin as you look around for Cal. Eventually, you see him, his back turned to you as he lifts bags of fertilizer into a wheelbarrow. You call out to him as you approach, and he turns to you with a beaming smile. "Sawan," he greets you. "I was hoping I would see you today." As you open your mouth to respond, you hear a quiet crack and hiss from nearby. "Oh, Dudette, watch out!" Cal says, stepping between you and what you realize too late is a humidity sprinkler. Cal laughs as he's blasted by a cloud of mist. For one perfect moment, he looks as if he's been outlined with 1,000 rainbows. "Ah, Dip." Cal... Okay. Who says Dip? How did that survive? Cal whines, smiling as he shakes out his hair and flips it back over his shoulder. "I should have let you take that one, but your clothes would have gotten wet." He stands up straighter as your gaze passes over his body. He's really grown into himself is the thing. Before your eyes, a droplet of water bravely winds its way from the rise of his chest and down the rippling muscles of his abdomen to where it disappears into the shirt tied around his waist. I'm a little bit surprised they didn't do a splash image for that. Cal tilts his head, his smile turning a little teasing. He flexes his bicep at you. "Caught you looking." "Well, fucking man. Look, I'm just gonna be honest. Of course I am. Have you seen yourself?" Cal's face goes completely red as he laughs and drops the pose. "Ah, geez, Sawan," he says, ducking his head. You can just barely see the edge of his smile. "You can't just say things like that." He scuffs the dirt, rubbing the back of his neck bashfully. He starts, and then laughs again. His smile turns soft. "I like your hair. It's really pretty." You really caught him off guard, but he doesn't seem to mind. Yeah, no kidding, he doesn't seem to mind. Cal leans in. "Can I tell you a secret?" he asks. "I'm not actually too hot in here. My enhancement means I'm always the right temperature. I don't even sweat. I just like taking my shirt off. Like, beating the crap out of each other and playing soldier isn't the only way to get a rockin' bod, you know? Oh, you know. You know really well." You spend an enjoyable afternoon helping Cal deliver bags of fertilizer to every corner of the hydroponics bay. When the job's done, he claps you on the back. Oof. He is as strong as he looks. Cal chatters at you about his plans for the rest of the week as you leave the hydroponics lab. The relatively cooler, drier air of Vertumna hits you like a slap, but of course Cal doesn't look bothered at all. "Race you to the cafeteria," he teases you before taking off down the path. You yell and run after him, causing a ruckus that makes a few adults shake their head fondly at you as you tear through the colony side by side. Okay, well now there's a bunch of adults that think we're hooking up, so that's something. They get it. They understand. I was going to give him a gift. Hold on. Cal is taking a break in the shelter of the geoponics dome. As you approach, you see him tossing crumbs from his lunch into an area of uncleared scrub. And as you get closer, you recognize the glinting of a Hopeye's iconic 4 eyes. "Shh," Cal says, holding his finger to his lips. "This one's got a little clutch of baby hop kitties somewhere. I've almost got her trust so she'll show me back to her nest, and then I can move them outside the walls." Aw, what a sweetheart. Apparently, I've already gifted Cal a thing. Did I give you a thing yet this month? I didn't, because I was trying to figure out when your birthday is. Is it now? No, but we're still working on that construction project. That's good. You spot Rex carrying supplies and big pieces of wood into the construction site at the end of the lounge, the future home of his bar. He waves at you, well, as much as he can wave, with his arms full of mushwood. "Hey, Sawan," he calls out at you. "Things are going great in here, thanks to you. It'll be done in no time." You take a look at what you can see. Rex has kept it all pretty well tarped up, and hates letting people inside to peek, but you can tell it's big. Perhaps a little too big? Ambitious, maybe, for a first solo construction project. But Rex has had a lot of help from his crew and from the whole colony. He'd have to be able to find enough wood. I mean, I'd love to see it. Rex shifts from foot to foot. "Well," he sighs, biting his lip, but you get the sense that he's dying to share it with someone. "Okay," he says, but just for you." You follow him into the tent. It's chaos inside. littered with pieces of mushwood of varying lengths, covered in fine sawdust. The light coming through some gaps in the tent picks up all the little sparkling motes of dust in the air, making it seem almost magical, or just really dusty, whatever. Rex spreads his arms. Well, this is it, he says. I mean, so far. We have a bar and a dance floor. That's all you really need. He swipes open his hollow palm and starts playing some music, then shimmies over to the only clear spot in the mess. That must be the dance floor, you figure, because he starts wiggling and bopping along to the music, gesturing for you to dance with him. Which takes bravery. That's fair. It absolutely does. Yeah, sure, I'll dance with you. Okay. Rex cheers as you join him on the dance floor. He grabs your hand and spins you around, and you laugh and dance to the music coming from his hollow palm. Moving your body just for the sheer joy of it feels amazing. You can see the future of this place. A place where people come not because they're stressed and need to relax, but where they can really cut loose and enjoy themselves. Rex had the right idea. Rex comes over to you and slings you into a one-armed hug. Just seeing you makes me super energized, he says. I can almost hear the music now. That's right, the bar's going to have live music. You know anyone who plays an instrument? I'm going to work double time to finish this place. If you want to help, bring me all the mushwood you can find. Am I allowed to contribute more now, or is it... No, okay. Rex is chatting with one of the young soldiers from the Helio, smiling wolfishly down at her with his hand braced above her head as she giggles. When she sees you coming, her smile drops and she beats a hasty retreat, avoiding your gaze. Rex turns, his confused expression melting away to delight when he sees you. Well, hey, Sawan, he exclaims. Some of the Helios are weird about being seen with me, he continues, unbothered. She'll be back. Yeah, they're definitely, still taking advantage of his whole deal. I'm sure many of the people who are attracted to traditionally masculine appearances are, and then they just don't want to be caught at it is the thing, because people suck a lot. All right, let's go back out. I want to continue gathering collectibles and also potentially having interactions with with Sim. Let's survey the plains. We should do each one once per year, right? Anything interesting out here? Not really. I do feel like this is the one that I least care about skipping. It just doesn't feel like terribly significant things happen here. Even the sim events are kind of whatever. But that was a Mushwood Log, and I will never complain about a Mushwood Log. Sim suddenly appears from behind a mush tree, which is like a magic trick, because you could have sworn it was too narrow for even him to fit behind. Why, if it isn't my little Sugarbug, he exclaims. What can I do for you? I'm not going to give him anything, because it's not going to do anything. We're just going to keep moving. So, okay, we don't have any important stuff to do. Ooh, this looks important, though. Before I do a yellow event with a thing, let's make sure we pick some stuff up. Gosh, medicinal roots are, they're relatively quite rare, aren't they? Although at this point, we've managed to max out the friendship with the two people we know who like them. So I guess at this point, they don't really have a lot of value for us. And like as a consumable, they're really not that impressive compared to a lot of the other things. Okay, well, whatever this is, it's probably not going to send us home immediately. So I'm sure we can do this and then run back and do the Nomi thing. You've been trekking up a gentle incline for what feels like hours before you finally reach the edge of a cliff. The plains spread out before you as far as you can see in every direction, sparkling lakes reflecting perfect circles of sky. Spark snow drifts lazily through the air, flickering like fireflies in the distance. Everything sounds muffled and peaceful. One of the suns is setting and the other is rising. It's spectacular. Dis joins you shortly afterward, just as speechless. I'm gonna keep a watchful eye out. Dis can take care of himself. He wants to talk to me, he'll talk to me. Nothing terribly exciting here, huh? Yeah, this is kind of just whatever. I guess what I can do is like we can build a straight and a flush, and then honestly, we have 15 mushwood. I'm gonna go ahead and drop a mushwood on this and gain all of the points that are to be gained from that. Probably didn't need that to finish the challenge, but whatever. Little bit of endorphin release. Actually, let me. Yeah, I mean, whatever. We don't need the super goal anyway, right? Because it's just gonna be points of a stat we can't take. In the jungle, you're never safe. You stand watch. There's some animal activity, but nothing out of the ordinary. At least you got some practice. That doesn't feel like a yellow event at all. I wonder if focusing on Dis would have yielded maybe something of a little bit more interest. Alright, let's run back and see what's up with Nomi, and then we can probably just bail. We got our collectibles and everything, which is the important part. Well, that and, seeing if Sim had any special event for us. Nomi, what's up? You meet up with Dis and Nomi. They've stumbled upon something strange and are arguing over what to do with it. It's a big blue crystal, knee-high and warm to the touch. It looks like there's something inside it. Oh, we gotta crack it open and see what's inside, Nomi exclaims. It could be anything. Are you a psychopath? Dis retorts, clearly offended. What if it's alive? You're gonna screw with the ecological balance because you're bored? It's for science, Nomi pouts, turning to you. Come on, Sawan will do it, right, Sawan? What I will do is scan it for a heartbeat, which seems like the good first step. You use some surveying equipment to detect a heartbeat, proving that yes, it is alive. You can't tell much else, since the scanner seems to be blocked by the crystal. But it's something. Nomi is absolutely delighted. The three of you happily leave it at that. What a weird little event. Okay. I wonder if we have just like enough collectibles at this point. Maybe it's not even worth going into the field to pick up collectibles. Alright, I think we're good. We can just go home. We saw the yellow events. We got 1 billion skill points we don't want. We picked up lots of logs. So Vase has a thing. Vase? This is... How dare I? You bump into Tangent after a routine checkup in Medbay. Sawan, could you wait a moment? I'm almost done. Let's walk out together. Dr. Instance gives you a curious look as Tange hurries to catch up to you, but goes back to her work. Hey, keep your nose out of our business. You wonder if Tange needs something from you or just wants to hang out. Lately, it seems like she has less time for her friends, preferring to work late in the lab. Maybe she's lonely. Ah, nice weather we're having, Tange says as you walk outside. You look around. It seems pretty normal for the season, and Tangent's not the kind of person who does like random small talk, so that's a little weird. She clears her throat. It's so different here than it was up in space, she says. Growing up in a spaceship was so clean and tidy. Here I'm constantly sweeping pollen or dust or spores or what have you off of everything. There was a mushroom growing in the corner of the bathroom the other day. I kind of like it, honestly. Yuck, Tange says, wrinkling her nose. You can have it. You walk for a few more minutes. Tange clearly has something on her mind, so you let her sit with it until she finally steels herself. I'm not very good at this sort of thing, she says slowly. I've been working on a big project with the chief engineer. What big project? It's why I haven't been around so much lately, she says. Look, I'm sorry I can't tell you more, but I think we're finally over the last hurdle now. Governor Lum says it's going to change everything here in the colony for the better. Tange seems more at ease than you've seen her in years. And truly, I couldn't have done it without you, Tange says, a slight smile warming her usually expressionless face. I know I can be a hard person to be around, but I appreciate everything you've done for me, and ultimately for the colony, and all of humanity. I'm a little worried, given the direction that For the Good of the Colony has taken, sort of as a rhetorical unit. What did I help you do? I mean, I think we're playing a character who is like very, very kind of into Tangent. I don't know if I think she's Aero or not, or if she's just, the way she is. And obviously, like, aromanticism is a spectrum. It's not like you have to be 100 or 0. Part of me wants to ask what's really going on with you instead, like, because she is being weird. And if she wants to make a move, if she's like, so now I feel like we could maybe like date or whatever, maybe it would be better to let her lead. But also, I'm going to do a thing. I'm going to press the button. You and Tangent find yourselves alone on the path from the engineering to the quarters wing. You edge closer to Tangent as you walk. She doesn't seem to notice and moves away, maintaining the distance between you. Either that or she does notice and moves away. So these all flirt with Tangent. This button says it will do a big thing, but I don't know what, like... She also seems to be moving away from me, right? Like, I don't know how to read this. This is tricky. I'll tell you what, if this shit happened to me in real life, I would be 6 layers deep in the like, what does that mean? Am I paying too little attention to what she's doing? Am I paying too much attention to what she's doing? Am I self-recriminating? Maybe she didn't even notice. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe I'm being hypersensitive. Like, here's the thing about autism. I have a hard time telling what people are trying to do sometimes. I'm going to say this one because this is the one that requires the friendship. Look, we're a good team. Let's make it official. This is like declare a relationship. I don't really care about declaring a relationship, I feel like. What I care about is like really between me and her. Right? Let's make it official is just really weird. Because I don't know what I mean by this. I hate this wording. I'm going to press this button, but I don't like the wording. I think what it means is let's establish between the two of us that we're dating, not let's post a fucking status update on the HoloNet. I'm going to press the button. We're a good team. Let's make it official. You propose a formal amorous partnership between you, the way one might propose a scientific thesis. It would have mutually beneficial advantages, you tell her, and Tange stops in her tracks. I don't know what to say, she says slowly. Okay, well, here's where we find out if I can read whether or not she's uncomfortable with this idea. She gives you a considering look. You're not the first person to suggest a partnership, but I must admit you're the first who piques my interest in return. You know what? Yes, she decides. You're entirely right. I like you, you like me. There's nothing stopping us from pursuing a relationship. Do you want to make out? You lean in and press your mouths together. Tange's lips are a little dry, and she smiles when you kind of stick together. Almost acceptable, she teases, licking her lips. She brings her hand to your face and guides you together again into a kiss that's much better than the first. You would think we would have worked this out at some point the other night, but you can have sex without kissing. That's definitely a thing. Tange is a better kisser than you expected. Confident, unashamed, and methodical. You kiss until she tires of it, pulling away and touching her lips with a slight smile. I'm looking forward to continuing this train of thought, she says. And then there is more event. Tange is working late in the lab this evening, as usual. What's unusual, though, is the smile that brightens her face when she looks up from her microscope and sees you. Sawan, I'm glad you're here. Actually, why don't you come over and see for yourself? You take a look through her microscope. Look at the shape of the spores, Tange says. I've only seen this once before when we were studying the shimmer fungus. But this fungus isn't any of the ones we'd identified as capable of spreading the shimmer. She pushes you aside and looks through the microscope again, then makes more notes on her HoloLens. Just when I think we've got an understanding of something, Sawan, this could change everything. If more species are capable of spreading the spores, then the shimmer response is more widespread than we previously thought, possibly even a planet-wide phenomenon. Tange looks positively energized. Because it's a new species, I get to submit a suggestion for its name. What do you think? Should I name it after you? You should name it after yourself. Don't be ridiculous, Tange laughs as she inputs your name into her hollow eye. I've already named 6 things after myself. That's what scientists do when they discover things. With a slight gesture of her hand, Tange's hollow eye turns off. She sighs, then runs her thumb and index finger over her eyes. It's even later than usual for me, isn't it? Time to pack up and get going before the sanitation team arrives in the morning. She yawns, then blinks rapidly in surprise. It seems that even I'm tired. You help her pack up her workstation. She turns off the lights with one last fond look at her laboratory. You and Tange take the long way through the colony, walking in companionable silence toward the general direction of the living quarters. You've come to enjoy these walks with Tange, moving like twin spirits through a sleeping world. She stops you before you head into the living quarters. Actually, let's not go straight back, she says. I want to stay out a little longer. You and Tange climb up onto the walls, where the wind coming from the forest is stronger, and keep walking. The wilderness is dark and impenetrable past the defensive perimeter. Tange keeps you on the outside edge, subconsciously, or possibly consciously, putting you between her and it. I think that's fair. I'm much more equipped to handle if something occurs outside the wall, right? I hate thinking about what's out there, she says quietly. Predators, dangers, diseases, all the monsters that have terrified humanity since the dawn of time, and they're right outside these walls. I mean, it's not so bad out there, really. She wraps her arms around herself as she walks, looking down at the ground. And inside as well. Monstrosity is the human condition, too. Every horrible thing endemic to humanity, jealousy, aggression, fear, pride, it's still here in us. We brought it, just like we brought potatoes and corn. It's terrifying to think of what horrors we're capable of inflicting here, as we did on Earth. I'm glad to hear her say that, because she's been a little mad scientist lately, and I was just getting a little worried. You walk a little further before Tange, seemingly in the middle of some deep thought, stops and turns to you. Sawan, are you happy here? She winces, then bites her lip. No, I don't mean happy precisely. Happiness is irrelevant to a survival situation. What I mean is, do you imagine a future here? One that you would have chosen for yourself, should you have been given the option. Are you fulfilled? I think so. I think our character actually really likes, for the most part, the life that we've sort of like slotted into. We're able to interact with the animals, we're able to roam and explore and discover things that are of value to the colony. Like, we're helpful to other people, and yeah, I think we are personally fulfilled. I would be more so if I wasn't worried about the military faction here in town eliminating most of the things that make me fulfilled. But yeah, for the moment, yes, I am. Oh, Tange replies, looking away. I envy your clarity of vision. Honestly, Tange continues, I despise the physical realities of living here. The smell, the cramped quarters, the constant threat of attack, of disease, everyone's meaningless interpersonal squabbles amplified by proximity and stress. I can feel them weighing me down. She laughs humorlessly. But we don't have a choice, do we? Therefore, the only rational decision is to make the best of what we have. To accept otherwise is to accept misery and death. That's the Tangent you know so well. You can trust her to stay logical and focused, no matter what chaos tomorrow may bring. Okay, 5 plus 6, I still think 5 is going to be hard to keep at the highest value, but on a hand where there's a slot that gives plus value, this will probably actually be highest value in that slot at least. You know, in some ways, she is sounding a little bit like there's definitely a thread of similarity that runs between her and Dis. You walk until the chill of the night settles into your skin, then descend from the walls and walk back to the living quarters. She hesitates at the threshold. Anyone else might not have noticed, but you know Tange. Probably better than anyone in the colony does, even her own brother. I mean, I hate to say it like this, but I definitely know her better than her own brother. And I don't just mean, you know. What's wrong? It's nothing, Tange replies. I'm just tired, I suppose. I'm working on something with the chief engineer that's bigger than anything I've ever worked on before. They could change the fate of the colony, of humanity, even. She looks at you and gives you a faint smile. It's a lot to think about. And when I'm alone, all I do is think about it. It would be... Everything's gonna be okay is such a fucking, like... It's such empty noise that I can't imagine her appreciating me saying that. Like, she has no use for platitudes, right? But I also don't think she's going to say yes. I would rather ask, do you want a hug, than this, but I don't think we should say either of these things to this woman. Do you want a hug? Huh. Tange's awkward silence conveys that she has to consider this deeply. Yes, she says, finally. I do, actually. You enfold Tange in a gentle hug. After a few seconds of stunned inaction, she wraps her arms limply around you as well. You spread your hands wide and hold her more tightly, trying to manifest the right kind of comforting energy to resonate through her shields. Either you manage or she simply relents, but Tange rests her head on top of yours and sighs. This is where I talk about how physical touch encourages the production of oxytocin, she murmurs, which is a bonding hormone that imparts feelings of calm and security. You can feel her smile against your hair. I know you know that, though. So I'll simply say, this is nice. Thank you. Tange straightens her coat. I am aware that I am not the easiest person to befriend, she admits. Among my many admirable qualities, I am also often cold, brusque, and tactless. I owe you my thanks for taking the time to see through that. I don't know why you would have bothered, but I'm grateful. She looks toward the living quarters, as if steeling herself. It does seem like she really doesn't want to be alone. You don't have to be alone tonight. Oh, an interesting proposition, Tange replies. What precisely do you mean? we could keep each other company. This is not precisely. This is more like gentle euphemizing. Tange scrutins your face for any hint of an ulterior motive. Convinced you have none, her shoulders drop. I'd like that. Thank you, she says, defeated. Why does she have to be defeated, though? Like, what if she just liked me? You retire back to Tanja's quarters, a largely sterile sleeping room with few human touches, save for a few neglected plants and a ratty blanket you recognize as the kind Chief Steward Anne used to knit by hand for every kid. There is a physical photo of Tange and Instance posed awkwardly together, as if they'd been working on something and told to take a break to smile for the camera. Yeah, that makes sense. You keep Tange quiet company for a few hours, trading bits of conversation until the first sun starts to rise. You look over and see that Tange's eyes have closed, and her face has finally gone slack in much-needed sleep. You pull the blanket over her and close your eyes as well, to catch a few hours before you're both expected back at work. I didn't really think they meant, like, either of us meant staying up together. I thought I meant, accompanying her to bed, not necessarily for sexual stuff, but just she needs to sleep. And, it can be very pleasant to sleep with someone. And I guess we got there eventually, but in kind of more a roundabout way than I was expecting. +1 to all social skill increases for 3 months because I'm so smitten. I've started dating someone and I want to share it with everybody. And I'm sure that's exactly what she wants to happen in this situation. Okay, there's more stuff going on. We got more talking to do. This is already kind of ballooned past the the hour mark, though. So I guess that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When y'all come back next time tomorrow, maybe it's time to, instead of exploring, work on our yellow skills a little bit for a change. There could be some value in that, right? And we'll see you then.